Good afternoon, everybody, and a puffy, cloudy, beautiful, sunny afternoon that is a change from the overcast, cloudy conditions that we've had over the past couple of days. My name is Tristan. On camera today I've got Fergus. There we go, signing off. Now, Fergus and I are out and about and hopefully are going to be finding lots of wonderful things, but we have all of you joining afternoon, which means that you all have to talk to us a lot and ask lots of questions, and you can do that on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or on the YouTube chat as well. Now, the plan for this afternoon is to just, well, go and see what's out there. We've ditched the roof, which makes me a happy lad. That doesn't come back and bite me in the backside later with the storm, but we've taken the roof off, which means that I am now free to roam and find a leopard and follow it through even the thickest of bush, which will make me very happy. But before we go anywhere, we've decided to come and check up on the Impala Carcass from this morning with the vultures. If you weren't, we did have a Impala Carcass on quarantine, and there was a number of vultures that came down and started to feed on it, and the Impala Carcass was absolutely whole. So it was a fully grown female carcass, and I will show you shortly what vultures can do in the space of 1 hour, because about an hour after they had finished, well, hour after we saw them, there was none of them back here anymore, and that is why. Look at the reason that these guys, that is all that is left of an entire Impala Carcass. It has been picked clean. There is not a single bit of meat, if you think about it. That was an entire Impala this morning. There was not, it was whole. There was no eating off it. It was a complete, fully grown female Impala, and that is all that is left from vultures. So if you ever wondered how efficient vultures can be, that just goes to show you what they can do. They have stripped every little bit of meat out of there. The hooded vultures probably were the last ones to come in. They've fed in all those little crevices there, picked off everything, and they have just about eaten every scrap there is. What is left there is a few little bits that is attached to the bones that will probably quite pull off, and those little bits will most certainly be cleaned up by various types of beetles, particularly carrion beetles. They'll come and feed off that, and it'll be absolutely picked clean by the end of the summer probably. But even though today itself is really not much left of it, it's quite amazing actually how these guys feed. There is a little bit extra left to this because obviously spine, the hips and the leg, but there is sort of, I think, a little bit more of the skin, which I'll try and find now. Now, Anna, you say vultures are incredible. They are insanely cool. I know that they are not a pretty bird. They are not something that everybody likes to see, but I will tell you one thing, is that they are the most insanely efficient animals that they. Here is actually the skull. Now, I do apologize that it is a little on the macabre side, but I suppose it's not too bad. I mean, it's just a kind of thing that's been picked clean, so that's the rest of it. There is a tiny bit of skin there, the front legs, and you can see the skull itself has been absolutely cleaned up. There is very anything on the skull. They've completely taken everything away, and you can also tell that this was fed on by vultures and not hyenas. If this was something like hyenas or a leopard or lions, I'll show you quickly. I'm not going to touch this carcass because between vultures and who knows what this animal died of, you never know what there can be on it. But I'm going to grab a stick quickly and just show you. But have a look over here. Sorry, Fergus. If you look at this section of the impala's face, this area here is the nose, and around that is this little bone that comes out. Any predator that makes a kill on an impala would eat this nose section very quickly. Now, lions, of course, would damage this whole thing and would eat, and leopard would be able to just eat that front part there, and you wouldn't have this extended piece here. This tells you that only vultures fed off this. What I also want to show you is just how strong and how powerful these Cape vultures can be, because undoubtedly the Cape vultures this, but if you look at the edge of the stick here, you can see that there is actually a hole in the skull that goes all the way through, and you can see the bone itself has been completely broken. So what has happened here is this is where the vultures in all likelihood have pecked at it and broken it, which is pretty insane. So there's a bit of the ribs, a bit of the skin that is now a bit like dry the sun and the wind, but absolutely fascinating to see how they go about their business. I certainly think it's amazing to see how vultures can clean up an entire animal. When you think that it takes a leopard 3 days to eat that, or 2 days or 2.5 days, for vultures to do it in an hour is quite amazing. Right, talking about spotted cats, I think we should start our search and hope that we get to see them. I was out during the middle of the day, and I did hear some alarm calls actually not too far from here, so maybe Tamba or Shadulu is hanging around. So while I go and have a look, and see what's happening. It's not just me out here. Ellie is also out and about, so let's send you over to her so she can say good afternoon with a rather large friend.
Well, it is potentially the largest friend that I could have. It's a bull elephant just happily feeding on all the greenery that's around us. See, there we go, munching very happily on all these green shoots and fresh herbs that we've got going on summer season all the way in South Africa. He is very hot though, and so am I. My name is Ali, and on camera with me today I have got Senzo, and just like the beautiful elephant you saw there, we are cooking under the African sun. Now, this is live and interactive, so if you have any comments, feel free to send them through using the hashtag #SafariLive on Twitter or using the comment section on the YouTube chat. Now, it seems like some of these bulls have been coming around, and I wouldn't be surprised if these are the ones that partly try to terrorize the staff village this morning. Now, this in question is not Daryl. Daryl has got a very prominent here, and this one does not. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're actually friends and they've come from the same area. It seems like a lot of the elephants are enjoying coming down to quarantine just because there are a lot of marulas. And at this time of the year, well, when the tree produces the fruit, all the elephants go absolutely crazy for it. Maybe you've decided you've eaten too many marulas and it's time to go back and eat a little bit of the greens and not just the sweet stuff. Now, these Ellies have done something very, very clever, and it is that they and we took a page out of their book. We came the highest that we could in Djuma just so that we could try to see a little bit. Also because there's a very nice breeze over here. It's 31, I believe, and 88 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's quite hot today. And it's not ideal. And you see the elephant, it's flapping its ears just like that. Well, it's not really because he's showing any sign of aggression to us, but rather than because he's hot. So it's almost like having they start moving their ears like that. It's just to try and cool themselves down. But I think the breeze up here is actually quite helping us. You're gonna go behind us. Bianca, you're saying that the Ellies trunks are quite crooked. Well, they do seem like it. They're not pointing in the same direction, but it does happen with the elephants. And sometimes it's because of certain experiences when they're young, or maybe, they manage to bend them when they're not as strong when they're little and they are learning to dig up the roots and so on. But it's not uncommon to see elephants with skew or different tusks. It's actually quite the norm. You're being a little bit shy behind the bush. Right, well, I think he's summer time. Perhaps we can have a look at his friend over there, also having some greenery. Now, it seems like the one at the back is a little bit younger than this one. Blue Cuzzy, you're wondering if bull elephants ever stay with the females. Well, not really. They a herd of females for a while. If they pick up the scent that one of them is perhaps ready to mate, they will also recognize a group of females that roam around the same home range as them. But normally they just prefer to stay either in groups of smaller males, in which case it'll be, some of the bulls and the younger bulls that come along with them, or perhaps it's just by themselves. So if you see an elephant that it's on its own, more likely than not it'll be a bull. Now, I think particular case, looking at the adult experienced bull, the first one that we were seeing, and then the second one might just be joining him for a little while to learn the ropes and see where to go and what to do, and just learn a little bit of behavior from the older one. Now, I think he's being a little bit shy all the way there in the side, but it could also be that he's just not done eating whatever it is that he's done. Lovely. Seems like Tristan has also managed to find some pachyderms, so let's go over to him. Hopefully he will have a herd.
I do indeed, Ali. So I have the female boys potentially could seek out at some point. Very small little herd. It's only 4 elephants together, and it seems to be a trait of marula season, is generally when all the males are about, the herds tend to split a little bit. And this is a really big old lady. You can see she's only got one tusk, so her other tusk is probably broken off at some point. What's interesting about that tusk break on her lip, you actually can't see any swelling of where that tusk was or should be. So that had to have broken right up at the top where it goes into the skull, and so there's nothing actually left of that tusk whatsoever. So maybe she also got an abscess and it destroyed the tusk completely, because you can see her other tusk is really nice and long. And if an elephant one tusk. They definitely would have started out with two. It's not a situation where elephants can have one and not on the other side. They only have the two or none at all, and so it's obviously broken just high up on the lip. But isn't it beautiful just watching these big gentle giants negotiate the green grasses that have come up over the last few days? It's almost like there's a new, it was starting to get dry again, and we know it's been a dry period in the Sabi Sands this summer. In fact, we're still way below our average rainfall. In fact, I think we're probably a third of the rainfall that we should be getting for a summer period. So we're well below the average, and that means that it's been a tough time for a lot of the animals. And so I'm sure the Ellies are absolutely relishing that there's nice green grass and seeded grass that they can pick up all kinds of nutrients for them. Anna, you want to know if elephants can get an upset stomach from eating too many marulas. Well, Anna, I've got a very funny story about upset stomach and elephants and marulas. So a friend of mine was once driving in another national park that is in South Africa called the Pilanesberg National Park, which is down in the northwestern part of South Africa. Well, so I suppose southwest from where we are. But anyway, he was driving along, and he was, as one does when they do these self-drives, is you often drive with your windows down because it's nice to hear sounds and pick up the smells and just be a part of it. And he was driving with his arm out the window, loving life and thinking that he was being very happy. And he kind of went through and drove through this puddle that was on the road, and he didn't really notice what the puddle was at all. He kind of just thought, oh, it's just water on the road. It had been a rainstorm before. And when he hit the puddle, he immediately realized he had a catastrophic error in judgment, and what he had driven through was an upset stomach of an elephant that had eaten far too many marulas. And what sprayed all over his arm, his face, all over the side of his car was, well, elephant dung, and it was apparently not very pleasant at all. He came back, gag reflex all over the place, and his whole arm was a beautiful yellow-brown color and smelt not pleasant at all. So it was not ideal. So yes, they can get upset stomachs from marula fruits, but it's not ideal at all. I personally thought it was quite funny, as any good friend would do. You giggle at these kind of things. He didn't exactly me laughing at him, but anyway, so they can get it. It's only if they eat too many of them, and it's normally towards the end of the marula season when they've been lying on the floor a little bit long and they're a little bit kind of on the rotten side, then you find it happening. Now I want to just try and catch up with these Ellies because it's so pretty, them kind of walking through this grass area with the beautiful blue sky and a bit of white puffy clouds. Pity the wrong side, but isn't that pretty? It almost looks like a scene out of East Africa. It doesn't really look very South African in some ways, but very pretty to see. And like I say, it's a beautiful afternoon. We've been blessed with a kind of blue sky, not too hot. There's a nice gentle breeze that's blowing, and then, like I say, it's nice and green after the rain, so he's kind of coasting through the grasses is very pleasant indeed. I am thoroughly enjoying actually seeing them. And off they go. They're kind of meandering their way towards quarantine. Now, this herd is moving quite quickly, because just before I saw this herd, when we were sitting with the remains of that impala, there was a bull elephant that was walking. So I think there's a bull elephant that's busy trailing them, and that's why they are moving the speed that they are at the moment. Beautiful to watch though, isn't it? I think so. Elephants can have allergies. Not that I've ever seen. I mean, they do sneeze and they do get the sniffles from time to time, but I've never seen one with an allergy to anything, to be honest. I mean, it's possible that there might be an elephant that develops an allergy, but I've never seen one avoiding grasses or avoiding marula fruits or anything like that. They deal with it. I suppose in nature, animals like elephants or any wild animal, they've been out here for so long that they've become so used to the things that they have to eat, and their bodies kind of adjust to it, and they haven't been medicated with anything, and there hasn't been a change in what's going on in the natural environment, not like with us as humans, where we've done antibiotics and all kinds of other things, which means that a lot of rotating and changing slightly. And so I've never seen one with allergies. They certainly do suffer from getting things up their trunks and sneezing and those kind of things, but it's definitely not allergies as per se. I have seen with little babies, if they are orphaned, they do get pneumonia, so they can get a lot of blocked up trunks and a lot of and develops and mucus and that they blow out constantly, and their lungs get kind of filled up with that stuff. So that's a bit of a danger when they're young. But in wild elephants, very seldom will you see anything having that kind of mucus coming out. It's generally when they're orphans, they haven't got the nutrients that they need and the antibodies to starve off some of these infections that they get, and then, you know, through the stress and those kind of things, these things happen. Not ideal. Let's carry on though. Our Ellies are mobile away from us. We're going to keep moving on and seeing what else we can find. It is a beautiful, beautiful day, and I think that we are going to have a successful afternoon. So while I meander my way through the western side of Djuma, let's send you back across to Ellie, who I think is also meandering the road, but I think she's in the central to eastern parts.
Not quite the central one, but more towards the boundary. But fair enough, I'm just enjoying the breeze that's coming our way. It feels wonderful after such a hot day. And I think I would like to be an elephant right now and just walk around, you know, down the road, playing from side to side, popping marulas in my mouth. Better than me right now, I feel. Except maybe if you're a leopard and you're on top of a tree and you have this very nice breeze like you had yesterday. Ideal to be any other creature right now, at least when the temperature goes down a little bit. Now, I want to go check Buffelshoek Dam, just any more elephants there, but also I am sort of hoping that maybe we'll pick up on any sign of Tingana being around this area, because, I mean, well, it's the last spot where we saw him, and I think I have a funny feeling to Buffelshoek and perhaps come back. It's been chilling in one of these blocks around this area.
Now, unfortunately, it seems as Ali's got a few little gremlins aboard, so we're going to carry on with us for a little bit. Well, you're going to carry on with us. We are carrying on with ourselves anyway, aren't we, Ferg? Exactly, we are. Right, so to Buffelshoek. There's lion tracks here, I think. Are there lion tracks here? There are lion tracks here. Now, I drove here this morning. No lion tracks. Ooh, sorry, Fergus. There's a stump there. Let's not fall over and fall out. When I was in the wild dogs, it was with fall over. Have we through there, Fergus? So yes, lion tracks, and most definitely that was Fergus's hat, not Fergus, I promise. He's all okay. But this is where the buffalo were, and there's definitely lions hunting on top of these buffaloes. So this is very exciting. Hopefully we're going to find these lions. They moved straight down the road here. These definitely were not here this morning. I drove here with Veerman. They're on top of my vehicle tracks, and they're on top of all of the drove here. So I said I heard alarm calls down the side. I wonder if it wasn't for these lions that were moving south. Now, interestingly, I don't know which lions these would be because, well, like I say, we didn't have the Nkuma Pride, I think, has got all their members. And this looks like a female that's walked here. So very interesting as to who this could be. Maybe we're going to get lucky. Now, you might be wondering, where are tracks? I'm trying to find a really nice one. There we go, Ferg. There's a good one. Just straight over the bonnet on the tire tracks. You'll be able to pick them up on the left-hand side. So there we go. You can see them on the road itself. There's the toes and the back of the pad walking and cutting the tire tracks completely. Those are my tracks from this morning, and so these are very good lion tracks. We should be able to find this individual if they carried on the road, and certainly if they were on this road they picked up, and that means that they're going to be trailing the buffalo. So we're in for a good afternoon. If they are trailing buffalo, it should be a very interesting one nonetheless. But it looks like just one individual, so maybe it's one of the Birminghams. Small feet though, by the looks of things. Interesting. Coast, are you wondering if Sunday evening feels any different, or if it's just like another day? Just like another day. It doesn't feel any different at all. It feels as though we are just doing another day at work, and it's part of the nice thing about working the way that we do. Single day, and every day feels the same. There's no real change to it. I quite like it. I think it's pretty cool. You kind of just get into a rhythm and you just go, and you know, things feel pretty good, and I don't know, I like it. So it doesn't feel afternoon, and so that makes it the only change that we have in our schedule is that the kids are not with us 45 minutes or last 45 minutes of a drive, but otherwise it feels very much like a normal sort of day, and it's business as usual, game drive as usual. Right, our tracks have left the road. Hold on, there's lots of shady spots here, so I need to just backtrack a little bit. There it is, right there. Told you we would find her. So there's a shady spot, and it is a single lone female by herself. Now, who are you? Because the very black nose. Hold on, let's just get into position here. I don't know who this lioness is, but she's sitting in the shade all by herself. Are you one of the Nkahuma girls, or are you one of the Styx girls? She seems quite nervous. Look at her, how she's got her posture. Or are you from the Manyaleti? Who are you, and what are you? It's not a lioness that looks very comfortable with our presence. Look how she's got her head cowering down, almost as if to lower her position. Now, I don't know this lioness. I'm trying to see if it's one of the Nkahuma females, but I don't know her well. Looks like a few wounds on her back as well. Who are you, girl, and where have you come from? Now, I know a lot of you know incredibly well, so I'm hoping that some of you will be able to maybe get a spot pattern or something. You see, she's hiding almost from us. She's still watching us through the grass, which is uncharacteristic of our lions. Is there another lion in there? There looks like there might be a cub in there as well, or is that just her back leg? They're difficult to see. It looks like almost something to the right also lying there. You see there's another little white tummy. Yes, is there two? It looks like or is that just her back leg? Very difficult to make out. No, it just looks like her back leg that's stretched out. There was only tracks for one that I could see, but she looks as though she's got a few nasty wounds on her. So I wonder if she's maybe in a quite bad condition. I'm not sure. Well, this is an interesting little mystery that's come out. Now, I know a lot of you are concerned that she's hurt. Now, interestingly enough, with the tracks that we were seeing, there was no drag of her feet anywhere there, so I'm not sure if maybe she is hurt. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know who this is. I don't know if Ellie had all 5 females with the Nkahuma Pride this morning. So I don't know if all 5 were there or not, or what's going on, but there's definitely a lioness I don't recognize. So she had all 5 females. This lioness has come from the northwest. So I wonder, maybe it's part of the Torchwood Pride, maybe it's one of the Styx girls. It's got a nose on her. So I don't know this lion, and I'm not sure if she's in great condition or not. Donna, you're wondering if it's unusual to see a lioness on her own. So Donna, it could be, well, it is unusual to see a lioness on her own. So there she's popped her head up, and she's now going flat. So she's getting more comfortable with our presence. Definitely only her here. So it's just the one lioness that we've got here. Her tummy looks a bit sucked in. She doesn't look as though she's kind of had a good meal recently. She's breathing quite rapidly, which is fine because she is going to be warm. It is a warm afternoon. But it is strange to have a single lioness, and particularly where we are. This is not an area that the Styx Pride regularly uses. A member of the Torchwoods that has followed the buffalo this way, or a member of a pride out of the Manyaleti that has followed the buffalo this way, but it's most certainly just one lioness, and I have no idea. Crystal, you say maybe a Talamati female? Possible. I have no idea. I don't know. I mean, the Talamatis do get seen about around Jacana Dam, which is just north of Sydney, so maybe. Who knows? I'm not sure at all, but I will tell you that she didn't at first really like our presence. She kind of was cowering down, but now she's kind of relaxed. So it's interesting, and I would like to see her walking. The tracks dictate that she walked just fine, and so, I mean, maybe she's not doing well. I don't know. She could definitely do with a meal, though. She's got a little kind of sucked-in tummy there, so it definitely seems as though she could. You can see her, and that tummy is in a little bit. No lactating marks, so it's not like it's a female that's off on her own because she's got cubs and has lost touch with her pride and is trying to find them. So who are you, girl, and where do you come from? interesting. This is the best thing about safari, is that you just don't know what's going on at all. But she is breathing very rapidly. What's wrong, girl? Have you just smelt something? I don't know who you are, but definitely a lot of cuts and scrapes around the shoulders and neck, so she's had a bit of a manhandling by somebody. But anyway, while we try, I'm going to try get a better shot of her face and try and work out who she is. And while we do that, let's send you back across to Ellie at Buffelshoek Dam.
Well, it's a little bit of concerning news finding a lioness that's a little bit hurt, so maybe I'll try and get an update later on from Tristan as to where he is, because it could be that the elephants came around and chased the lions through the bushes. They were in quite a thick area where we left them this morning, so I wonder if perhaps that could be a factor in why she's got so many cuts and scrapes. It'll be interesting to find out. Now, unfortunately, no Tingana at Buffelshoek Dam, just the usual Egyptian geese, I couldn't think of their name for a second there, that are cooling down in the bottom. Cannot even see our good friend the hippo. Not too sure where he's gone. Perhaps he is down at the bottom and just playing shy as he normally does. There they are. Matt, you're wondering if there are any rivers at Djuma. Well, there is a river, the Molowati, but it's more a dry riverbed than actually a river. Only flown maybe once in the last 2 years, and I clearly remember Jamie being very excited and taking her shoes off and dancing in the river because she didn't know when that was going to happen again. So around Djuma, I would say maybe once a year, if we get torrential rain, do the rivers actually fill up, and you'll have them flowing for a few days, but not have flooded in the past where you can't actually cross, but not sure. Right, seems like the lioness is back on the move, so let's go over to Tristan and find out if we can figure out more clues.
Well, she is on the move, and she's very ginger when she's walking. She's walking with extreme comfort, but I mean, I suppose she's ambling, but she's not in great condition. She's got lots of wounds on her. She's got quite skinny, which I would expect from a female on her own. Life is tough if you've had a few wounds and you're by yourself. So I don't know who she is or where she comes from. I don't reckon, but she does have the kind of Styx look to her in terms of a very dark black nose, and you can see she's skinny. I mean, she's in need of a good meal. It's a pity she didn't find that Impala this morning. But there she goes. She's kind of just walking through. She's not emaciated to the point where she's going to flop over and die any second. She's going to be in good enough condition to probably try and find food, and if she just gets one good meal like a buffalo, she'll be absolutely fine. Now, Jean, you want to know if lions will remove themselves from the pride to die? No, I mean, it's a bit of a fabrication. A lot of the time people will say that lionesses do that. What is, as they get older and weaker, so it's harder for them to keep up, and the females that are still in the pride that have cubs, they have to keep moving, they have to keep looking for food in order to sustain their own offspring, and so they often then leave these females behind, and older females then get into a situation where, unfortunately for them, they are behind and go off on their own. Now, this female, while she is not young, she's definitely not a young girl, because her teeth are quite well worn already. They're not pebbles yet, but they are worn. They're not as sharp and healthy as a young lion. So I would say that but she's not ancient, so she's not a lioness that should be leaving the pride because she's too old and cannot actually keep up. So her right shoulder does look a bit odd, doesn't it, Fergus? So Ferg is commenting that her right shoulder looks a bit beaten up, but she definitely has some serious bite wounds on her back. I don't know if maybe the Nkuhuma pride is to blame for this, maybe the Birmingham boys, who knows. Maybe she's a Styx lioness, I don't know. I have no idea what the Styx are looking like at the moment and whether or not they are okay, but there's no sign of mange on her or anything like that. So I mean, the Styx, I suppose, could be better by now. Angie, you say it looks to you like one of the older Torchwood females. Well, Angie, I suppose that would make sense because the Torchwood pride has been seen a lot on Buffelshoek lately, hunting buffalo herds, and we know that this seems like the same herd keeps kind of coming out of the woodwork, and the fact is she's on the buffalo tracks. She's walking exactly where the buffalo walked this morning. So maybe it is one of the older lionesses. I don't know the Torchwood Pride at all, so it would be very difficult for me to confirm or deny that she's a Torchwood female, but I wouldn't surprise me at all. They have been on Buffalo's Hook regularly over the last 2 months. There's almost daily updates on them, so it wouldn't surprise me at all. She's going to have to be so careful though, because she is walking straight into the middle of the Nkuhuma's territory. The Nkuhumas from where we are now are straight east. I mean, it's still a long way. It would be about a 25-30 minute walk if she walked at this pace, but you never know. The night brings a lot of different things, and if they come across her at night, or the scent of her, they will track her down. Don't know if she meets up with the Pride will most certainly kill her. So they will if they don't, they'll try and chase her. But an interaction with 5 adult females that have cubs in an area, and the big Birmingham boys who will get confused in this whole thing, the likelihood of her coming out of this unscathed would be very, 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 very remote. In fact, I would think that she in all likelihood would probably end up in a very bad way if she came across the not dead. So it's not a place that she wants to be. Striding into where the Nkuhumas are dominant is on your own is not a good idea. I mean, the Styx even kind of leave the Nkuhumas alone. Let's see, she stopped there and she's looking at us, so let's see, maybe this will be a good opportunity for anybody that wants to try and get an idea of her, or just her right profile. Is maybe now is the good time. I know there's a branch in the way, but there's definite puncture wounds on her shoulders, so she's had a fight with somebody at some point. Shame, girl. But you can see, look how yellow the teeth are. They're blunted. It's an older individual, but not an ancient individual. So this is not a, I would say I would put her 11, 12 years old, somewhere there, which is an oldish lioness. I mean, that's, they can get older, but it's a fairly old girl. Oh, shame, girl. It's never nice when you get to see animals like this when they're a little injured in their pride systems, particularly for lions, because obviously lions are socially very kind of bonded, and when you see a lioness that's you can see is visibly not in her top sort of state and not with any others, it's always hard to watch. You know, you sometimes see prides and they look a little skinny, and you know, at least as a pride unit, the chances are that they'll find what they need in order to survive, and they'll kind of figure it out. But a lioness like this on her own, if she doesn't find food, she's just going to get into a weaker and weaker state, and that's going to become a lot harder for her. Now, what she stopped to see, she's almost stopped to look. Girl, what have you spotted? It's almost like she spotted something that she wants to. Show me, and you say it looks like she's got a bone sticking out of her right shoulder. So she definitely's got swelling there. I don't know if it's a bone sticking out. I'm not sure. I'm hoping she's going to stop at some point and we can actually get a good look. But you can see there was a massive wound on her between her shoulder blades that is healed. That's all granulated tissue that's come together. So much like the Nkuhuma female's hip, that would have been a big gaping hole at some point. But it's all stitched together. I mean, her shoulder blades are moving pretty normally. Let's go look. We can get back onto that right side again. I'm also trying to give her a bit of space. At the end of the day, I don't want to push her too hard, and certainly don't want to make her feel too uncomfortable at this stage. We want her just to kind of not push too much effort in during a hot period of the day like this. So just a little space every now and then is not bad. I wonder if the buffalo are not lying up of us, because there's a big open clearing coming up, and buffalo often like to lie in those places. So let's have a look quickly. No, she's just kind of looking down that area. Shame, girl. Who are you? Like I say, never nice when that's not in its fine fettle. And so I always kind of get a bit sad when I see any animal that's a little bit kind of downtrodden, if you want to call it that way, or just having a hard time in life. It's always tough. But anyway, let's see if we can try and get a better view of her one more time, just so we can try and maybe some sort of ID of who she is. She should pop out. Oh no, she's now turning and going. Hold on. So just trying. Right, sorry Chris, I'll have a good shot of her in 2 seconds. So let's just quickly get around this bush and then we'll be able to see her nicely, pretty much straight towards us, which is going to be good. So here we go. She's right on the other side of this little drainage section. And there we go. She's going to look straight at us. Oh, Fergus, let me go forward a bit for you. So she's going to lie down there. Okay, cool. So she's lying down at least. We can at least see her face quite nicely. That'll be a good indicator for anybody that has any photos of the tortoise or telemarties or anything like that, to have a little spot comparison and see if maybe we can figure out who exactly she is and what's going on with her and why she's here all by herself. Intriguing. Nature never stops delivering interesting and amazing things for us to see, and as much as it's tough Lioness like this, it's also quite interesting in terms of the dynamics. If it's not like we don't have enough dynamics with the leopards, we now have a bit of a lion drama to follow as well. Right, well, while we sit here with this lioness and we try figure out who exactly she is, where exactly she's come from, let's send you back across to Ellie, and I believe she's got some more elephants to show.
We do, but it seems like something here annoyed them, and they've actually been walking quite quickly. It was just a female with 2 youngsters, but now as you can see, they've gone all the way down into the drainage line. Right, I think, well, maybe they just didn't want to spend their Sunday afternoon on TV, so we're going to leave them in. It's a very good spot too. There weren't any elephants swimming at Buffelshoek Dam, but I've got my eyes also on Chitwa Dam, so hopefully that dam will be full of elephants swimming and splashing and, you know, just going on top of each other. That would be wonderful. I think I'm very intrigued about the lioness that Tristan's found. I do know the torchwoods were found this morning, but I'm not entirely sure whereabouts. So I really 100% if it was actually on Torchwood, or if they found them close to Buffelshoek Dam or on Buffelshoek somewhere. I suppose we're going to have to wait for some of the other guys to get mobile so that we can perhaps get an update from them. But quite a strange situation, so hopefully we'll be able to find out who she is, where she's come from, and actually just what happened to her. Because when I had they all seemed okay. It didn't seem like any of them was particularly injured from all the different views that we got, so it's a bit of an interesting fact, that one. Now it's still very nice and breezy up here, so it could be the reason why the elephants weren't too thrilled. I know the wind tends to annoy him, so imagine having such big ears and such a powerful nose. Imagine everything away with a little bit of breeze. Probably not ideal, as I'm sure they can smell everything that's been walking around here, and probably a lot of pollen and other things getting into their noses. I know if I were an elephant, I probably wouldn't like it either. Now, it seems like this area is very, very thick. I actually haven't driven past this road since I returned to Djuma, so it's to see how it's grown and what it looks like. Sometimes it's very nice just to take in all the greenery and just how lush everything is or has become. But we're supposed to hit the cut line soon. Child of the universe, you're wondering if there are any fruits that the elephants like in other seasons. Well, the majority of the trees that we get in this area produce their fruit during the summertime, because it's where they will have more water, sunlight, and just in general the ability to produce the fruit that to then propagate. Now, I cannot think of any fruits that we would get just in the wintertime. There are certain species of creepers, of trees that you can see them hanging from the trees, and they're normally called the wild melons, or they're also known by another name, but I cannot really recall the name right now. Not the summer melons, those are in the Kalahari Desert. It is actually escaping my thought, but it'll come to me in a little bit. So they are known to every now and again eat them, and they're very similar to the strychnus of the monkey orange. So it's about this round, and it looks like a tiny watermelon, and it just lives in it. Oh, I've got a friend that's hitching a ride. Now, I would imagine this is a little moth. Ah, flew away. Sorry, I wanted to show you. It was very cool. It was here almost like a little tattoo, but now also got a little bit shy. So yeah, I cannot think of anything else that the elephants would eat time that's produced by trees that looks like a fruit. I do know, however, that they get a little bit problematic around the winter time when there isn't as much food and there isn't as much water, especially in the areas where the game reserves meet the private game farms or the villages, because they will obviously come and try to get all of the exotic fruits that we may be planting. And if there's a sugar cane farm, then they just wreak havoc, and they're terrible. The Ellies have such a big sweet tooth. I think, well, probably only proportional to their size, but not ideal. Seems like Tristan is still with the Lioness, so let's go over to him and find out if there's more insight.
Well, she's settled a little bit now. The light is very harsh and she's lying in the shadow, so it's a bit difficult, but at least we've got a nice front view of her with the kind of side of both her side profiles that we can work with. So hopefully we can work out who she is. I don't know her at all. I mean, I've looked at her now nicely through binoculars and I'm not sure who she is. She doesn't look like this. She doesn't, obviously is not any of the Inkahumas, so Torchwood or Talamati must be one of those two, unless it's a random lioness from one of the other prides that hang around. She's certainly not a small lioness. If she bulked up and she put on some weight, she would be a really nice sized girl. She's got a big head and she seems as though she's quite bulky in terms of her skeleton structure. Add a bit of muscle mass onto her. So interested to know who she is and where she's come from, but you know, these are the mysteries of life, and it's part of what's so nice about being in an open system in the Kruger National Park area, is that you get into these things where you don't know what you're going to get. All of a sudden a new lion is around, all of a sudden there's a new leopard around, and we've certainly seen that over the last few. Almost like the new year has come, and since the new year it's just been change after change and difference after difference and new characters and all kinds of different things happening. So it's been very interesting watching what's going on. Now you can see a really nice shot there that Ferg is showing you of her teeth, and I was saying that her teeth are quite yellowed, which is often an indication of an older individual. Also that right canine is chipped and broken, and the left canine that she's very rounded, and so I don't think she's maybe as old as I said. 12 is maybe a little old. I would go for a 10, 11-year-old lion. Maybe 10 years old is probably what I would go for, but still very cool to see. How's that for a cool shot with the wind and the grass blowing in front? Well done, Fergus. That's very nice. Beautiful lioness though. She's got beautiful big ears, so she's a little different looking to what we see from the lionesses of the Nkuma pride. Also, what's interesting with her, and well, just, you know, obviously he's been following a lot of leopards recently. You forget how big lions are, and you have a situation where, you know, you see these guys and you just how much larger lions are than what you see with leopards. It's incredible, actually. Their head size is quite astounding. Now, Kirst, if you can just repeat the name for me. Sorry, I forgot the name there. Blue Cozzy, you're wondering what the bite force is for a lion. So the bite force is around 600 PS, which is, I mean, it's serious, but it's not nearly as serious as some of the other predators we have in Africa. So crocodile, hyena, far more bite force than what a lioness has got, but still a decent amount, that's for sure. And so Kirsty is telling me that a hyena is 1,100 psi if you want to get a comparison. Double the bite force of a lioness or lion, which is quite something. It just goes to show you how strong hyenas are and why everybody avoids them. Oh, look at that. Look at her eyes just looking up and her ears. Hello, girl. You've got big ears like Tumba. Very cool. I actually quite like her. She's got a bit of character to her. Maybe it's she's endearing because she's a little bit. Now, Kirsty, you say that a Nile crocodile is 5,000. It's ridiculous. So almost 10 times, well, not almost, I mean like 8 times the bite force of a lion. It's absolutely astonishing how much power is in a crocodile's jaws. And what amazes me with that is that there's zero going the other way. So opening their mouth, they've got nothing that they just kind of open, and if you put your 2 fingers there and close it, they don't actually have the power to open it. It's all in closing, not in opening. It's pretty incredible to think that. What she was watching, was there a bird of prey that flew over? I don't see any eagles or vultures or anything like that that's come over. I wonder if she was maybe attracted to the vultures. There are a lot of vultures actually coming. There they all are. Well done, well spotted, Ferg. So there's a few vultures in the blue sky. They look like little black dots, which are tough to track, especially if they're going to fly into the sun. Don't blind yourself there, folks, because the sun is coming fairly shortly. But there goes some vultures. Now I wonder where they're off to, but that's what she's watching. Is she's watching those vultures that are flying in the distance. Now that looks like it could be a hooded vulture. Very difficult because it's miles away to make out what it is, but it's got the right shape. Hooded vultures have those kind of diamond shapes, tails, and also it doesn't have too much of a featherless head. Ali, you're wondering if vultures have tiny teeth? No, so they've got a very sharp beak that is hooked on the end that is able to get into meat, and then edge, and that's how they're able to just break off little chunks. Now what you will see with vultures is that they all have different shaped beaks. So you'll have the whiteback vultures like we saw, and the Cape vultures that were predominantly on that carcass this morning. Big, heavy set, robust beak that gets huge chunks out, and then you'll have little hooded vultures that will have tiny thin beaks, and Egyptian vultures thing, and they can get into all the little nooks and crannies and pull off all the little pieces right close to the bone. So no little teeth. They don't have teeth like any of the mammals do, but they do have these very sharp beaks with these little hooked points that are able to dig in, and then they're able to cut little pieces off. Right, now I do need to let Rexon know that I have found this line exactly we are, because he is asking me, so I do apologize about using the radio shortly. It will be very quick. I just need to let him know where we are. Rex, if you come Rebecca's Road, we're just south of Rebecca's Road now, going towards the old hyena den, to the east of that open area. So there we go. So Rex will make his way here as well and join us. Now Rexon might know this lioness. It's actually going to be really nice for Rex to come here, because Rex knows the Torchwood Pride quite well. He knows the Talamatis quite well, so he might be able to point us in the right direction as to who she is. Either way, interesting that she is where she is and how far she's come. I was hoping that maybe the buffalo was somewhere here, just from a point of view that I know, it's obviously never nice to watch a hunt take place and a kill, but a baby buffalo for her would do the world of good. And you never know, when you follow a herd like that, a number of females are pregnant. If they've given birth during the course of the day, often they stash their calves as when they go for water, and it opens up an opportunity for her to then maybe grab a calf, which would be vitally important just for her to get good condition. The reason she's probably looking the way she is, she seems to have had some serious wounds on her. That means that her body would have been utilizing a lot of nutrients, and it really would have been tough for her at one point. And so she's probably struggled to keep up with the pride, hasn't fed very well, and so she's lost a bit of condition. But a few good meals and she'll certainly be back to normal. I've seen many lions look far worse than her and come back and look absolutely amazing. In fact, Nkuhumas have all looked a bit scraggly at some point, and then they come back. So Mac, if you were wondering if this lion got bitten by a snake, what signs would be there that it was bitten by a snake? Depends on the snake, Mac. So obviously snakes out here have different types of venom. Most of them, well, in fact all of them, have some sort of a cocktail, but they have predominant types of venom. So if you the puff adder, it's mostly a cytotoxic venom. So if it was bitten by a puff adder, you would get an area where there would be massive swelling, it would be very black, and there would be a massive amount of necrosis that would happen and cause a huge part of their tissue to deteriorate, and that would be a big problem. And often those bites are around the neck and chest area. Hello, girl, are you going to walk right past us? You are indeed. It's quite something being eye level with us, for sure. Now she is moving, and she's going to go right past where we are. And she's got a nasty tail gash. Is that true as well, Ferg? Yes, she does. Just underneath her tail there, little gash as well. So if it was a puff adder, it would be that. Mamba is more a neurotoxin, so she would show signs of breathing, and she would struggle with those kind of things. And then if it was something like a cobra, well, they've got quite a mixed venom, so she could have a situation where she would be a little bit of everything, so difficulty breathing, and then also a bit of necrosis at the bite site as well. So it depends as to what symptoms she would show. Now I'm going to try and just get up onto this other side of this drainage, because I know it's not easy to follow her through here. I've once followed Tingana and Shadow in here, and it's really not easy. You've got to kind of stay on top of things quite quickly. So while I try and keep up with her, let's send you back across to Ali and find out where she is and what's for us this afternoon.
Well, we were driving down the road because we've decided we're going to go check on where we last saw the Nkuhuma females this morning, just to see if maybe we can help out with the enigma that's all around us. But then we found some vultures sitting on a tree, so we need to investigate a little bit, see if perhaps there's anything here that we might have missed, or anything that might have been of interest to the vultures, because there were about 4 or 5 of them initially. So it's still not the most common thing to see too many vultures perching on a tree unless there's something that could perhaps interest them. And I'm thinking that maybe the lions made a kill somewhere here, perhaps that there's something else, but I cannot see from around here. So we're just going to investigate a little further and then head back to the road and carry on towards where we saw the inkahumas. As I can see, the vultures have perched on another tree, but only 2 of them this time around, so we're going to head that way. Perhaps there is something here, perhaps there isn't, but it's always a good idea to come and check. We don't leave any opportunities open. Anna, you were saying, you were asking if we could imagine what a mess the bush would be without vultures. Well, I'm sure it wouldn't be as clean as it is, and it wouldn't be as healthy as it is, that's for sure. But also, I think just in terms of all the scavengers and even the hyenas, they play such an important role that I think without any of them, things wouldn't be the same. Now, I'm going to stop here quickly just because the vultures are ahead of us. Just 2 of them this time around, and they've flown into this old tree. Now, I wonder if there's actually anything here, because like I said before, we're not too far from where we were with the rest of the lions this morning, and they were all looking quite full. So I wonder if they didn't manage to bring something down and they were feeding on it somewhere around this area, and this is why the vultures are here, although I cannot really see anything else around us. The grass is quite long around here, so if it's a kill that's already finished, it would be a little bit difficult to try and find it. But oh well, let me just get out of this particular position and head back to the road, and then carry on with our plan to go and check upon the inkahumas. Perhaps they are still where we left them this morning, and maybe that'll help us shed some light as to which lioness Tristan's got, but also keeping an eye out for any other lions that might be around here, because last night I know I saw in the screenshots from the dam cam that it was actually 3 males, so that also with the other 2, and well, we didn't find them this morning, so it could be that maybe he's the one that's eating as well a kill somewhere else. Ooh. All right, a bit of a stump here. There we go. Now I see more vultures to our right as well, another 2. So it is very puzzling as well. It seems, you know, the Sunday of puzzles with all the animals out and about. And it's another 2 white-backed vultures that we've got up there, just in very sharp contrast against the sky. So I want to believe that there's something else here. But, we haven't been successful. Right, I'm gonna head back to the road. Maybe the road will be able to shed some light as to what it is that we're looking at. While I try to find my way back to the road, let's go back to Tristan, and hopefully he'll have a little bit more of an idea of who this girl is.
Well, before we get into that, you might hear she's managed to find herself a tortoise. She just collapsed on it and just started crunching it. So I don't know if it was a baby tortoise, but it's certainly just been absolutely hammered, whatever it was. Did you just finish that in one foul swoop? No, I think she's still got some of it. Can you hear the crunching of the shell? She's definitely got a little tortoise there, which is how she's going to survive for now. She's going to grab all kinds of things like that, but that poor tortoise just got mowed down. Shame. Wrong place at the wrong time, I think, for this poor little thing. Ferg, I'm going to try and get us round quickly so we can see better than what we can see now, because I can't really see what kind of tortoise it is or what's going on. She's very conveniently right on the old hyena den road, which makes life a little bit easy. Now, Kirsty, I'm pretty sure it's not Gregory, but it could be Gregory's babies. Too soon? Sorry, Kirst. I know as a new mother, what are you? Mother, grandmother? Grandmother. Kirst? What are you two? What are you two, Gregory? You're the fun aunt. Oh, okay. I see. Well, as the fun aunt, maybe that was a bit soon to be making light of Gregory's... Hold on, folks, sorry, I've got to get into low range here to get at this. Eggsy is the grandfather and you don't know... Oh my goodness, it's all very complicated family, this, the Gregory story. But for those of you who don't know who Gregory is our camp tortoise that comes in every now and then, and Kirsty and Eggsy have named it, and it had little babies this year for the first time that we know about, which is very cool. Well, we think. I mean, we don't know for sure, but the little babies came from where Gregory lives. It seems like it is the case. Now, it's definitely a tortoise. It looks like a small leopard tortoise, so not Gregory. Cursed, you can breathe a sigh of relief. There we go. But at least it is a meal for this particular individual. Poor tortoise, just like I say, didn't even know, because she literally walked and just jumped on it and then started eating it. Shame, my girl. Interestingly enough, though, she went to the toilet just before this and she defecated. Now, any individual that has got no food in their stomach will not defecate a serious amount of dung like she did. So I wonder if she's just not going from tortoise to tortoise, scavenging a little bit, getting nutrients like that. And so while she is thin, she's still able to actually get some sort of food. But at least you've got a little meal. It's a start, girl. And we know that tortoises can be a good start. We've seen with Hosanna and Shongile, you know, they've all, Tumi, they all started on tortoises and kind of worked their way, and they managed to sustain themselves on that. So it's not the to have. I suppose for a lioness being the size she is a little bit bigger than a small young leopard, but you never know. I mean, it's at least nutrients at the end of the day, and very little energy expended to get some of that nutrients, and it certainly will starve off the pain of the hunger that she's probably feeling. And so, like I say, I mean, imagine 5 or 6 tortoises a day, and this is a smallish tortoise. If she gets a really big one, it's a bit of a meal that's in there. And I know it's large majority of it is shell, but I suppose it is nutrients. So, B. Wilson, you're wondering if she's going to eat the shell or just the meat? Seems like she's just tucking into everything at the moment. I think she's just so ravenous. She's just trying to get in there and get as much as she can out of it. So she is eating little bits of shell, but most of it will be meat. I think she's breaking the shell with her canines and her incisors and then pulling chunks of meat. But let's listen, because it's just how much crunching is going on. These are the reasons why their teeth do wear down a little bit, is because they eat, you know, hard things like this, and to show they crunch down on buffalo bones and all kinds of things. And so you see she's opened it, and look, now she's trying to pull the flesh out. Shame, that poor tortoise. I'm sorry, you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Pretty crazy to think that we're sitting 2 meters from her and you can hear the crunching of that shell. It's absolutely amazing, the force that they've got to be able to break through that. Ranger Robin, you're wondering what is the most unusual prey that lions have been seen hunting. The kettle pot in the Kalahari Nature Reserve. It was a kettle pot that was hunted and absolutely destroyed by some lions the one year. But no, in terms of actual animals, just trying to think what they've been. I mean, I've seen them go after. I mean, they chase ostriches, ground hornbills. I've seen them with Egyptian goose kills. I've seen them with vulture kills. They've chased hyenas, tortoises, pangolins, aardvarks, pretty much anything you can think of. A lion will go after it, and I've seen lions eat pretty much everything. It wouldn't shock me if they were eating. We get out here crocodiles, hippos, catfish, elephants, buffalo. Obviously there's all the antelope species. I've seen them eating leopards before. So pretty much anything's on the menu for a lion. Even if you go back to the Mapoko days, they used to even eat some of the lions that they killed, and in fact even have done the same thing. So I think anything's on the menu for a lion, as long as it can crunch it down and swallow it. They will take it, especially in a situation like this. A lioness that is in this kind of condition is going to not sort of turn its nose away at any nutrient. You'll find that they'll go after pretty much anything that we have out here, from birds to tortoises, reptiles, mammals, anything that's really is going to sustain them and keep them going. So nothing's off the menu, including humans. So there's a lot of different things that lions can go after, certainly do go after regularly.
Humans not so regularly.
Humans not so regularly, yes. Well said, Ferg. So every now and then humans. Luckily they are not regular hunters of humans, particularly not in the Sabi Sands, because if they were, we would be in a lot of trouble here, Fergus. I don't know, not even 4 meters from this lioness, and so if she wanted to eat us, it would be a hop, skip and a jump, and well, Fergus and I would be no longer. It's a bit of a scary thought, isn't it, Fergus?
No, you look far tastier than me.
Am I far tastier than you? Yeah. So Fergus, you're behind the camera at least. You'll just throw the camera at her, and I'm outdoor. I'm definitely in the firing line here, buddy. You certainly are far better off than I am.
Point.
You'll just point, exactly. As long as you film it, Fergus. I don't want to be a situation where I die for nothing. At least if you film it, it will be a situation where it will go viral or something. I don't know. Let's not even think about those things, because it's actually a bit macabre, and certainly don't want to think about that at all.
If you fell out of that car, that would go viral.
Out of a car, it would go viral. Yes, we've done that already. We've ticked that box already, Fergus. Falling out of a car, going viral. I've done that. You've seen that. So on to the next thing at this stage. Now, Kirsty says she had a big chunky piece of meat. She did, didn't she? I wonder if she got maybe a leg or something out of that. It doesn't look like the biggest tortoise. I'm trying to see. It's not exactly like there's a lot of grass there, but I can't really see too much of this tortoise. But she certainly at least got something out of it. Is at least some nutrients, girl. Well done. Shame. You can see, look how she's trying to kind of get her canines. She can actually get in there and get all that's left. The crunching continues. First lady, wondering with the broken canine like she's got like that, would it affect suffocating prey? No, her canine is not broken enough. I mean, if you look at the Birmingham boys, you look at many other lionesses that I've seen in these areas, they've got broken canines all the way basically down to the jawbone, where there's literally nothing there, and they are still able to execute kills. What you might find is that they change their style of killing, so they go from, instead of killing by suffocation, they might go and close the whole mouth and nose and just use the power of their jaws to keep that mouth shut, and that's how they suffocate, rather than a situation where they try and kind of go for the throat, use those big canines. But I mean, I've seen many different lions with broken canines, and none of them struggle in the killing department. The other 3 certainly will do the job, and her canines are still big, make no mistake. Even that broken one is still big enough to inflict some serious damage to you, I can promise you that. As you can see by that perched tortoise, it has been absolutely mangled, his jaws, and so she'll certainly be able to still execute a suffocation on an animal, that's for sure. Her condition is definitely due to the fact that she probably got beaten up quite severely by the looks of things, and that's meant that either she's separated from her pride because she got beaten up, or she's had a real tough time keeping up with the pride, and that's led to her losing a bit of condition. Something about her reminds me of the Styx though. I don't know what it is. It's just that maybe it's the dark black nose that she's got. I'm not sure. I mean, like I say, hopefully some of the guys that follow our lions regularly and know the spot patterns of the whiskers can help us out, but certainly there's something about her that is recognizable. And so while I try and think and rack my brain through some of the Styx photos that I have with me, let's send you back across to Ellie and see what she's up to.
Well, we went to check the spot where the Nkuhumas were, but definitely not around. And there's another Djuma vehicle that's also looking in that area. But then we got an interesting update on the radio. Later on in the morning, around about 11 o'clock, one of the Buffelshoek landowners, he actually bumped into the Pride on the road on the other side of the drainage line. But they got up and they were mobile, and they were roughly mobile west. So I wonder perhaps if it's not the Nkuhumas that carried on moving. And now another report is that apparently the big herd of buffalo has carried on going south. So I'm tempted to think that perhaps this Nkuhuma have not given up on the buffalo and they're still trailing them, even though they've got such a big stomach. But as we saw yesterday with Shidulu, cats are opportunistic animals, so they will not doubt to take any opportunity that they can to try and get these animals. So it's interesting. Sorry, I'm just trying to listen to an update on the radios. My radio's coming out very faint, but I don't think it was. Alright, it seems like Rexon has managed to find some tracks for the lions, but it seems like the lions are heading south, or just the tracks for now, not the actual animals. But it would be consistent in the direction where people reported that they left them in earlier today. So we're gonna go maybe check past Twin Dams, see what's going on around there, but not really. I wonder if they just carried on, and if not, then we're gonna go back to our plan of going to Chitwa. But I wonder the same, perhaps that's not one of the Styx females, but we'll see. Let's just try to Deanna, you're 10 years old and you're wondering if the wildcats are related to the house cats. Well, distantly related. They have a common ancestor where they all came from, so they have very similar things that they do. You'll see that the lions don't like the water and they stretch like this, like the normal cats do, or the house cats do. And I'm sure that if they could, they would also love the tickles, but it's something that I'm never going to be able to try because they might eat me. I want to try and listen to the radio for 1 second. Sorry guys, okay, no, I think it appears that the lions have carried on walking out of our traverse, so I'm gonna carry on down my path, or at least the Nkuhuma lion has got one of them, but I'm gonna carry on then perhaps towards Cheetah Plains, perhaps check Twin Dams before I go anywhere else, and then head off to the biggest dam of them all. Righty, that's here. Is that? No. Alright. Now I'm struggling with some of the roads. I don't remember some of the roads. It's been wonderful. It's almost like the rediscovery of Djuma. No. Alright. Tristan is still busy puzzling about this. So let's go over to him and perhaps see if he's found an ID.
Still no idea, unfortunately. It's the way it goes, though, sometimes, is that you find things and you're not really sure. It just seems as though, I don't know what happened between morning drive and now, but things have just kind of gone chaotic, because we is here, she's still crunching on her tortoise. Ellie's trying to track the Nkuhuma Pride, which seem to have moved around. And Rexon's got tracks for apparently 3 or 4 lions at Twin Dams hunting buffalo. So that, who knows who they are and what they're doing there. So if there's tracks for 3 lionesses down there, or 4 lionesses, maybe Styx Pride that's down there, and then that means that this definitely is an interloper and somebody that we don't know. So interesting. That's, like I say, went from a quiet morning, and we drove Twin Dams area. We had tracks for that male lion that went south there, but we didn't have any other tracks for anything else, so I'm not sure. Was that yummy, girl? I'm certainly licking your chops like it was good. All done. Shame. She's obviously enjoyed that meal. She's literally eaten everything, shell and all. I'm quite surprised. I honestly would not want to be her, though, in a few hours' time when that decides to come out the other end. Be comfortable. Shame, girl. You're going to come past. You want me to move for you? You can see how close she is and how tall she is in the sort of context of our car, because she kind of comes up towards the sort of edge of the bonnet, and that is as close as you will ever get to a Lioness. And she's literally probably almost rubbing up on the front of the car at the moment. Girl, do you need me to move? She doesn't seem like she needs me to move. She's got space to go as well. It's not like I'm blocking her pathway. I'm just sniffing around. Is there maybe another little tortoise snack on the horizon here? Oh, shame. Struggling a little bit. I think those shoulder blades really sore. I wouldn't be surprised she's got some major damage in those shoulder blades, and that's what's taking a bit of a toll on her. I know that I've seen a Solala male that had a completely disfigured spine from being attacked by another lion, and he survived. How, I don't know. He kind of walks with a hunch, and it was all kind of crumpled up in similar bite wounds to what she's got on her back, like, and the marks, but he was able to come right from it. But look, shame, her back legs are almost shaking a little bit. I think she's a little weak, unfortunately. Always, like I say, it's never really like seeing animals like this. It's sometimes can be a little hard, and it's always a little emotional when you see these things. It kind of doesn't sit right when you see an animal that's struggling. It's harsh, and it is nature, and it's part of what we do, but it never really gets easier or ever feels okay when you kind of see these things. Now, Ferg is struggling with the sun, Ferg, so let me try and get you. No, don't stress, buddy. I've got to move anyway because she's mobile, but we've got to try delicately, because how I got in here, I'm not quite sure. There we go. So as I was saying, it never really gets easier when you see animals like this, and I know it's always part of life out here, and it's something that I've seen many times, but never really enjoy it, and kind of root for the animal always to come back from it. And it's, you know, it's like the Mvula sighting. It's, you know, it's always good to celebrate the fact that an animal's gotten to an old age, and it's a success that we've managed to see these animals go that way, because it's a conservation, and as an area we've obviously done right to protect them enough that they can live that long. But it still doesn't change the fact that it just feels a bit heavy when you watch a sighting like this, when you see an animal that's just not in its best shape and clearly is uncomfortable and in no way really wants to be in the condition that it's in. It's obviously fighting to try and survive as much as it can, and that's rings true for all of us. You know, a lot of us have difficulties in life, whether it be medically or anything like that, that we kind of fight for long periods to try and, you know, stay with it, and it's a tough thing to see. So I don't know, like I say, maybe I'm just being a bit sobby today. Or what would the word be, Fergus? David, you say the Styx girls all had signs of mange around knees and elbows and tummy areas, and so you don't think the Styx girls? Well, David, I tend to agree with you on that regard. It's what I was saying earlier, is that it just doesn't kind of feel right for Styx. It's quite a nice view, though. Sunlight and blue sky and greenery. Look at that. Hello, girl, and you're going to stop right there for us. That's pretty. She might be injured, but there's still something iconic about that picture. Being lower than a lioness with blue sky and green grass is pretty incredible. Fergus, let's see, are we going to get up this bank? I think we're going to. Let's try. No, we're not going to get up there because there's a big stump that's hidden in there. So let's just try slightly. Right, now I'm just going to try and get up into a better part. There was a big stump in there that stopped me from going up, so we're going to try this way. Try not to hit myself in the face with a branch. There we go. we negotiated that okay. Now we just got to catch up with her, and we're on a crash course for Treehouse Dam at the moment, so that's where we're busy heading at. I think we can be quite lucky that we found her when we did, because otherwise it would have been quite a tough track to find her here. I mean, we obviously would have picked up the tracks crossing the road, but it would have been not easy to track her all the way through this stuff. Quite fortunate that we actually saw her when we did. But the way that she's moving is she's now going deeper towards Styx area. The old lioness in the Styx definitely had serious amounts of mange around the face area, the nose, so I don't think it's her at all. And the other Styx are not that old, so, I mean, not this condition old, so I don't know. You never know. Lions can often be in the most random places at the most random times, like leopards. When they do sort of start to wander a little bit, they can get themselves way out of their territory sometimes in the desperation to not but to maybe even rejoin the pride or something like that. I've once seen, lions from this sector end up way down in the south of the Sabi Sands when kind of being isolated, so it does sometimes happen. What surprises me though is it's hot this afternoon, and yes, she's still striding and walking and going, and there's just a bit of fight left in her still, so we shouldn't definitely not write this cat off. She's still going to try her very best to survive. Like I say, if it's tortoise by tortoise that gets her strength back up, then so be it. But it's going to take some time, I think, until she comes right. A lot more hazardous driving in here than it was when I and it was so nice and dry in here. I guess I'm just going to try and get around her a bit. Just got to watch out for stumps, because since the stumps are a little bit less visible, and we all know my track history with stumps in this area or on Djuma, so let's rather try and avoid those this afternoon. I don't think falling out next to her would be the best thing. You see, she's stopping and watching. I'm pretty sure if she comes across anything that she can hunt, she'll go after it. In some respects, I kind of wish she finds these buffalo, just from a point of view that I hope that there's a calf there somewhere that she can grab and get a real solid meal out of it. The problem that I think she's got is that those buffalo, one, are probably strong enough to push her off any kill. Two, the noise that that's going to make is going to most certainly attract the Nkuma pride. Look from where we are right now, and we just shoot straight across and kind of onto the other side where it starts to ridge up a little bit. That's pretty much where the Nkuhumas are. So if she had to walk in a straight line east, she'd be walking straight to where the Nkuhuma pride was seen this morning. So just up on that ridge there from where we are. It's not very far at all as the crow flies. Right, let me get ideas. So much jabbering, I've left her drift quite far. That's okay. At least she's not like some of our leopards that we follow through here that can disappear in a heartbeat. It seems as though she's far more visible. Her bigger size and also her slower movement than the likes of Hukumuri. Now, I wonder which way the buffalo went, because I believe they were chased west, which would be back towards us by those lions at Twin Dam. So I wonder if the buffalo Treehouse Dam at the moment could be a sign that they're there, and maybe that's why she's walking in this way the whole afternoon. She's listening and looking and trying to kind of see where they are. Now, while I try and keep up with her through these thickets and see where she ends up, let's send you back across to Ellie, who I believe has found some of the buffalo at Twin Dams.
Yes, we haven't found all of the buffalo at Twin Dams, but I cannot see any lions around here, so it'll be interesting to see if there's actually one here. Now, the Nkuhuma females, I heard on the radio finally, because I had a bit of communications issues, that they were found on the road not too far from where we were actually checking for them, and apparently all adult females and cubs and subadults are accounted for, and one of the males. So at least we know they're all there. Now we're just spending some time with the buffalo. Now, I wonder if perhaps Nsuku's not somewhere around here, all these, surrounding all this buffalo. Maybe he is somewhere here. I think the best thing is just to stick around here. The buffalo don't look particularly nervous of anything. I don't think they're struggling. Doesn't seem like they're too alert. So that's what makes me doubt the fact that there's a potential predator around here. Now also, any lion would have to be very careful. A big herd of buffalo will not tolerate the presence of one of their potential enemies around here, and often they will come and help each other and defend each other. So it's a bit of a guess as to if there's anyone here. Judging by their behavior, I don't think there are any lions around here. But it's nice that we've had this massive herd of buffalo for so many days all the way in here. Now, I think it's worth it for us to stay a little bit here. Now I'm going to you guys whether if you want us to carry on and go to Chitwa Dam, or if you would prefer us to go all the way up and then go and follow up on the Nkahuma lions. We could also go to Chitwa Dam and then go to the lions, but just let us know which one you prefer me to do. Hashtag Safari Live, and then we're happy to do whatever the majority decides, because after all, it's a drive for everyone to enjoy. So I would like to speak to Rexon, because my radio has decided to stop working, or at least my game drive radio. It's got absolutely no volume, so it's going to be a little bit tricky for me to actually try and hear what anybody has to say. Stink. Yep, nope, nothing coming through. Oh well, I'll do it old school, no radio, which would be perfect. Blue Cuzzy, you're wondering what's the relationship between this and the buffalo that are hanging on their back. Well, the birds that are on the buffalo, those are the oxpeckers, and they eat the ticks of the animal's back, or in between the groin, or in the wherever the ticks might decide to attach themselves. So they actually play a very important role in helping control the parasite population on every single individual. Sometimes though, tricky to try and find out if the oxpeckers are actually friends or foe, and the reason for it is because they like the taste of blood and they like the meat, or the exposed tissue, I should call it, that for when an animal gets an injury. So a lot of the times they carry on pecking it and prevent that particular injury from actually healing, and it takes a little while longer to close, just because, well, obviously they're constantly opening it again. Now, with big herds of buffalo like this one, we also have other smaller species of birds, like, for example, the drungos, the fork-tailed drungos, which are tiny little birds, black in coloration, and they're called the fork-tail because it almost seems like their tail has the shape of a fork, and they tend to fly these big buffalo herds because as they move around, they start disturbing insects that are in the ground. So it's a lot easier for them to actually find the insects once the buffaloes, or even the elephants, or sometimes even rhinos, when they walk around, it's easier for them to find anything that they've been looking for. And, you know, they catch their breakfast or dinner or lunch, whatever the case, it might be a lot easier than if they had to sit on a perch and wait for them around. Now it's looking like a very beautiful afternoon here. Alright. Seems like we have a selection that I'm gonna head on to Chitwa Dam, see what's been happening out there, and then on the way back we'll definitely swing past the buffalo and just go follow up on the lions. But in the meantime, then we're gonna but I'm gonna send you guys across to Tristan while I try to figure out what is wrong with my radio.
Well, hopefully Ellie will have some luck on Chitwa, and maybe young Hosanna will be around. Wouldn't that be nice to see? But our cat is still mobile south and still is going towards Treehouse Dam now, and from goes towards, well, Twin Dams, and there's buffalo there, so who knows how this is going to play out. But she's definitely moving, and we're definitely going to stick with her as she goes, because it'll be interesting to see where she's moving. What I've just said to Ferg though is that this lioness knows this property. This lioness has been here before. She is walking on the exact paths and coming out in the exact places, so I think she might be a Styx female. I honestly think it might be one of them that just doesn't look good at all. I know one of the small cubs, I believe, is no longer alive, so there's only 3 small cubs now instead of 4, and so I think it might be a Styx. Just the way she's walking, she's literally walking the exact path all the way through from Zoe. She's walked on the straight path to Treehouse. There's a suggestion that she's walked this area in her life. It's not like she's lost and wandering and pacing up and down. She certainly seems to know what she's doing, and she's kind of moving in a way that would suggest that she's done this before. She's not like she's sniffing the ground. She's not in any way kind of looking around wild-eyed as if to not know where she is. She's she knows what she's doing. So I think it's just one of the Styx girls that is not looking very good at all. But I might be wrong. Like I say, it would be interesting if maybe somebody can check it out for me. But certainly I think it might be one of the Styx girls that we've got here. Hopefully she catches a nice drink at Treehouse. It's still a while away. We're going to take a while to get there. But hopefully she'll have a nice drink at her to get some water as well after a long walk like this in hot afternoon sun. It'll be good for her to just get herself a nice meal. If it is a Styx girl, what she's doing up all the way coming from Zoe's power lines area, I don't know, because that's a long way from here. Peter Panda, you say, what about a Salala? Possible, but don't think so. There's one Salala lioness that is the tailed lioness that is older, that is apparently was looking really shoddy at one point. Possible, I suppose. I mean, I don't know. I find lions a lot harder to ID than leopards. I find lions, you know, for me it's tough to see the differences between them. They've got to have some sort of unique thing for me to ID them quickly. I won't lie, it's a lot harder for me to work out what's going on with lionesses than it is with leopards. But I mean, it could be a Salala. I'm not sure. Anyone? Hashtag Safari Live. If anyone has any other ideas as to who this could be. The pictures I saw of the Salala lioness, though, looked as though she was almost but done. Kathy, you're wondering if she'd call out for her pride. If she got to an area where she feels like they're close or she can smell them, most certainly she'll start to call, and she'll have a situation where she'll try and give some sort of vocalization to rejoin. I would be very sure of that. But when she's just ambling like this and maybe feels like she's not quite in the area where her pride could be, then no, I don't think we'd see any sign of her calling. I think she's just trying to fly under the radar, and rightly so. But like a painting, though, of this lioness walking down, the kind of dappled lights, green clouds in the background. I think it looks very much like a bit of a painting as we kind of rolling forward with her. She's definitely looking to the right, though. I wonder if she's spotted something. You see how she's looking right now. Well, Treehouse Dam is not the worst place for her to head. There's often a lot of waterbuck here, a lot of impalas, and so there might be a chance for her to try a little hunting. I'm not sure. So, Jilly, you're wondering if lions can catch scrub hares. They don't seem as agile as leopard. Well, Jilly, they can catch scrub hares and in the past, but yes, they're not as agile as leopards, and therefore a scrub hare hunt is a very, very different story. It's not easy for them to go after scrub hares. It's also, for the most part, with lionesses, what's the point? You know, there's, at the end of the day, there's more than normally multiple lions together, and a scrub hare just really would only feed one, if that. So, you know, it's not really an animal to spend a lot of energy trying to hunt. It's an animal that they would rather kind of, if the opportunity presents itself and they can grab it, sure, but otherwise they're not really that interested in hunting them. Right, let's just see. Sorry, Fergus, that's my fault. I got into the frame there. But there she goes. You can see she's a bit bandy in the way that she's walking. She's just stopping and looking around again. The good thing is she's walking into the wind as well, so the wind is not going to affect her movement or not going to give her presence away to any of the... So hopefully there's going to be a situation where if there is something lurking, she can at least have a fair crack at it. What's also on the horizon is rumbling of thunder and some rather ominous clouds towards the Kruger Park, so somebody is getting wet. It still looks like a long way away from us, but there's some ominous signs for maybe for tonight. Oh, is this where we're going to lie? Okay, I'm going to just do a big loop around so that I can get into a situation where we can see her from front on. It's going to take me a bit of time to get round that side, so let's see. I just want to give her a wide berth so that I don't frighten her in any way, especially if we're coming from behind. Right, now while we try and get in front of her and try and get onto the other side, let's send you back across to Ellie to see if she got her radio working and if she's at Chitwa yet.
Well, it's a no for both questions, and I think Tristan's going to be a little bit disappointed. But the buffaloes started acting quite erratically, and they started going a little bit crazy, and they started actually running from one side to the road, from Little Gowrie pretty much into Djuma. So we got thinking that perhaps there was something around here, and it seems that there might be inside of Little Gowrie that are perhaps annoying the buffaloes a little bit. Now, it doesn't seem that there's anything or any real action going on for the time being. So I think I'm going to leave it and head on our way to Chitwa, because I feel like we've been trying to get there since the beginning of drive, and we will get there. And then see, maybe on the way it'll be cool enough for all of the action to actually start unfolding. So let's head over to Chitwa Dam and we'll be able to get there. However, and no, I also have not managed to fix the radio, which is why I wanted to speak to one of the vehicles on the road, just to make sure that there was nothing happening there and that we could go straight onto Chitwa Dam, which is apparently the heading straight that way. I did get a report of some elephants roughly heading in that direction, which I'm really excited about. So hopefully the elephants will be somewhere around there. The radio doesn't work. The radio has decided that the button to put volume on does not work, so I've got no volume. So we're going incognito, which is now I feel like we can go anywhere. Nobody will really know. Wahaha. But no, I'm too much of a goody two shoes, so I wouldn't dare go into places we're not allowed. So off we go onto Chitwa Dam for one last time. Now we are definitely en route. The wind is in our hair and we are making strides to get there. And who knows, later on will be rewarded with a little bit more action. Now, also I asked the guys of Chitwa if they knew where the Styx had been, and they had no idea as to where the Styx could have been, or they said they haven't seen them for the last few days. So it's interesting. Just as we were discussing the leopard dynamics and how much they've changed and how all of a sudden don't even know what's going on anymore because there are endless possibilities playing around, it also seems like there's a random lioness that's just appeared that, you know, she could probably belong to another pride. She could have been chaser. Perhaps even the Styx were trying to hunt the buffalo and that's why she's got all those scratches. Who knows? I haven't seen the photo. It just looks like a battle, but who knows? So while we make our way to Chitwa, let's head back to the mystery lioness.
Well, the more I look at this lion, the more I think it might be one of the Styx. Just the kind of look on her. I don't know, there's something that just says Styx to me, and the way that she's moving and the way the property now suggests that it's her. But let's see. I mean, like I say, I'm sure somebody's going to be able to figure out who this lioness is. You can see she's just taking a break. I'm sure she's tired. It's been a long walk she's taken in rather warm weather, so I'm surprised she's walked as far as she has. If she had just pushed another 100 meters, she would have been at the water and could have had a nice drink and then a relax in the shade before she got there. But maybe she felt like she just needed to groom herself, get rid of all the tortoise blood that she's got. And look at that. That's a piercing stare that only the wild cats can have. It's just something about a wild animal's look. The cat, that is not what you see when you look at a wild animal in a zoo or in an enclosure or anything like that. These guys have something about them that when you look at them, they almost look as though they're kind of staring right through you and boring deep holes into the back of your head. About them that just screams wild animal. So I always enjoy when you make eye contact like that. Now, shame, you can see she's salivating quite a bit. It's because she's panting so much because of the heat. So Sarah, you're wondering if she is a Styx, would the Birminghams protect her if they find her? Well, you know, Birmingham's male lions are a funny thing. Theoretically, they would be probably quite interested and come and sniff her out. And if they worked out that she might potentially be a lioness they can mate with, then they certainly will just kind of walk around with her. She might find if she does come across males, she'll go into complete submissive mode. She'll probably flirt with them a bit and just herself as best as possible. So male lions are probably not her biggest threat. The Nkuhuma pride is what she's really got to worry about. The fact that there's 5 females there and just the one female here means that she's 5 on 1 is going to be very difficult for her to kind of carry on. Maybe she's not a Styx, I don't know. It's difficult. The ears are the only thing that's throwing me off as to her not being Styx, is because those ears look massive, and the Styx females don't normally look like that. Okay, so she's going to walk towards us, so I'm going to roll back with her and just try and give her a nice wide berth. So I'm going to be quite far from her as she walks, because I don't want to she feels like I'm cutting her path off. So we're going to roll back nicely and keep her at a good distance away. I mean, so sometimes we might lose view of her, particularly there's going to be a nice big S-bend now, so I do apologize if she goes out of shot for those S-bends, but I don't want to be right up in her face. It's very cool to be able to drive with the Lioness walking straight at you, so we don't want to push our luck too much and have a situation where we push her off the road. She's already having a tough time as it is, and so don't want to be those guys. Kat, you're wondering how internal conflicts start with... There's very few internal conflicts that start in prides of females. Normally, though, if it does happen, it's all to do with availability of food and cubs. So there was a very strange interaction the other day of a lioness from the Kambula pride, which is where Mfumo has been spending most of his time, down on Mala Mala, killed the cubs from another female, which is very odd. So that might have sparked a bit of kind of fight within the pride, but otherwise generally there's not too much that goes on. It's mostly food related when there's a little argument and a little tussle in amongst them. But there we go, so she's slowly coming along with us. There's something epic about kind of just driving in a lioness at you. Can't quite describe the feeling. It's not something obviously that happens every day, and certainly not something, sorry Ferg, that's me that's in the way, it's not something that you get to do every single day. So she's gonna go behind the bush, I'm afraid. Sorry Fergus, and also sorry for my head. I'm trying to kind of see behind me as well as follow her. Now she might cut off shortly. Is right behind me here. The dam's not far at all. We're going to go over a small bump, and then the dam should be visible. There's the bump that we've just gone over, and then there's going to be a game path off on my left hand side that's going to take us straight to the dam. So while she goes towards the dam, let's send you across to Ellie, who's found another predator, but not a feline kind.